F. Winter, and this is Confusional Arousals. It has been 2 months since my dad passed, and I have just looked at Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's stages of grief. If you are not familiar with them, the stages are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. But these aren't a strict linear path. They are common emotional responses that people experience in different orders or may skip as they process loss, with some models adding hope or shock and recognizing grief as a unique, non-linear journey. I have always been good with non-linear journeys. The original 5 stages are denial, difficulty believing the reality of the loss, a defense mechanism to cope with overwhelming shock, anger, frustration, and rage directed at others, God, or the situation, bargaining, if-only statements, trying to make deals or reverse or postpone the inevitable, depression, overwhelming sadness, despair, and isolation as the reality sets in, acceptance, coming to terms with the loss, not necessarily meaning happiness, but finding peace and new ways to live. For the year before my father's death, whenever I visited New York, I observed a decline in his activity levels, emotional connections with people around him, and his appetite. When I would say goodbye at my departure, I always thought it might be the last time I would see him. When my sister called up to tell me the news, I felt neither denial nor shock. There was no reason to be shocked, because I knew it was coming. Denial of his death seemed stupid. There was also no need to be angry. I will miss him. But he had a good life. He loved his wife and his family. He accomplished many good acts in his 96 years. When I told my friends, I said he won at life, and I meant it. Bargaining was not a part of my grieving process. What could I bargain for? I did pray for him every day and ask God to look after my father's soul, but I did not offer anything in return. I have a t-shirt which reads, "Am I perfect? No. Do I want to become a better person? Also no. I don't think changing my behavior would help him. Why should it? His deeds will speak loudly in his defense, and I would prove to be an unreliable witness at best. Of course, I could change my behavior so that when I stand before the heavenly tribunal, I will fare better. But the pain inflicted on a person when they lose someone they care for must burn away some sins. That only seems fair. Of course, the whole concept of fairness seems naive in a world filled with so much suffering. But let me avoid such morbidity while I am talking about grieving. Depression. Now, this is the stage where I crash-landed. The engine is shot and no mechanic is around. I'm in the middle of nowhere with no cavalry on the horizon. I have experienced several concussions in my day, and the bad ones all included a numbness, a detachment from my previous existence. I felt that way as I journeyed home from the funeral, and that feeling has continued to this moment. And I may not mean this moment because when you listen to this, it might be years after I recorded it. But at this moment, I feel lost. And to be honest, I don't think that feeling ever really leaves. I have not arrived at the land of acceptance, although I accept all the facts of the case. But I am not in that stage of depression without hope. I frequently look for ideas that I can accept, and that will give me peace. I've talked about some attempts previously, but I have some more. Deep down, I know my ideas are wrong, or at least incomplete. But I am not looking for truth. I have never known truth to take someone's pain away. Here's a theory that gives me a small degree of comfort. I think trauma proves the theory of multi-universes. Why does that give me comfort? Well, because it makes me think that in some other universe or universes, there is a version of me that is happy. Multiverse theory proposes our universe is just one of many, possibly infinite parallel universes, forming a larger multiverse. A concept deriving from physics, suggesting that other realities with different laws or versions of events exist alongside ours, though it remains a speculative, theoretical framework without direct proof. These alternative realities could be wildly different or feature subtle variations. Here are some different theories or versions of this multiverse. Inflationary multiverse. Our universe formed from a collapsing energy field during cosmic inflation, with other pockets continually creating new universes, potentially with different physical laws. Quantum multiverse. Every quantum possibility, for instance, an electron spinning up or down, splits reality, creating a separate universe for each outcome, including infinite versions of ourselves. Bubble universe. Our universe might be floating in a higher dimensional space where other universes exist and could even interact. Quilted multiverse. In an infinite universe, every possible arrangement of particles must occur infinitely, creating identical or other regions far beyond our light horizon. Now, let me remind my listeners of the butterfly effect. The butterfly theory, or butterfly effect, is a core concept of chaos theory, suggesting that teeny, seemingly insignificant changes in a complex system, initial conditions can lead to massive, unpredictable differences in the long-term outcome. Meteorologist Edward Lorenz developed it, famously using the metaphor that a butterfly's wings flap in Brazil could theoretically set off a change of atmospheric events leading to a tornado in Texas weeks later, highlighting the extreme sensitivity of systems like weather to minute details. Things happen because other things happened. In fact, we understand life by what has gone before. Medical people want to understand what caused the injury or disease. Police trace back the evidence until a suspect is arrested. Psychiatrists trace the trauma to its beginnings to help the patient understand where they are now in relation to their past. Teachers build on knowledge foundation established in previous grades. Astrophysicists want to trace the universe back to the Big Bang. So, everything we do is based on the past. The only thing that could be controversial in my idea is the fact that the universe splits after experience. My father died in October. I am not the same person I was in September. Why would anyone doubt that? My world has changed. Things have become more and less important. People have become more and less important. I make different choices now, which leads to different outcomes. I am living in a totally different reality. I am living in a different universe. But why, Winter, do you think you are living in a different universe? You are living in the same universe that had a random event, your father's death. And I would agree with you, except for the fact that my next-door neighbor, whom I rarely talk to, his world has not changed at all in relation to my experience. At the moment when my sister called to tell me of my father's death, there was no change in my neighbor's life. I will call my theory the two roads diverged multiverse theory. We jump to another universe when we experience trauma, depression, or anxiety. Maybe not jump, but our universe splits into another very similar universe that continues with the new experience as a guiding principle. Which means each and every day on our planet, billions of universes are created when a person or being, remember the butterfly theory, when that individual dies, after their life has been forgotten, their universe dies as well. Chaos theory, from whence the butterfly effect sprung, studies complex dynamic systems that appear random but follow underlying deterministic rules, revealing hidden patterns like fractals and self-organization through concepts like the butterfly effect, small changes, big impacts, showing how predictable long-term outcomes are impossible due to extreme sensitivity to initial conditions. Is my two roads diverge multiverse theory, or TRD, multiverse theory, very different from this? And chaos theory is now being applied to human behavior and interactions. So those scientists are getting it. Good for them. This idea makes the world infinitely more complex than our comprehension can fathom. We need supercomputers to speak like a human or predict weather patterns. Think of what kind of computer or mathematical formula we would need to understand my TRD multiverse theory. So, what does this mean in how I live my life now after my father's death? I can't go home anymore. Figuratively, not literally. I can't go back to the past. My previous hopes and dreams do not belong to the present universe. That rosy future belongs to another past and not my present. And if I keep on trying to achieve something that will never come about because it is no longer possible to come about because I am now on a different path, my life will only end in heartache and sorrow. So, Winter, you want me to give up on my dreams? Of course not, unless you no longer wish for those dreams. But if you still want those dreams, you have to start from where you are now. If I am in a bad place, I can change it by acting on my feelings. I could do something nice for another person, take the emphasis off me. Sometimes we could see a solution to another person's problems before we can see a remedy for our own. But what if we're not ready to leave our dismal place? Why should we change until we are ready to change? If people are uncomfortable around me because I am sad, they can choose not to be around me. Good for everyone. They don't have to be around someone who is dealing with trauma, and I don't have to hide my pain to make other people feel better about themselves. If people invite me somewhere, I will generally go because I know it is important to remain tied to my community, my tribe. But I am giving myself lots of time to grieve. I don't have to actually grieve, but I give myself space to when I am ready. And when I am ready, I understand that every decision I make, if I follow through on that decision, will put me onto another path in another universe. My dreams cannot be the same as yesterday's dreams, but they could be better. I am A.F. Winter, and this has been Confusional Arousals.
Welcome to Universe. 676767676767676767676.
Welcome to Universe. 6166 60 miles. 6166